The U.S. men's national team escapes with a point to start their Gold Cup campaign. Matt Miazga breaks an offside trap. Matt Turner saves the day. Andre Blake puts on an absolute clinic. And Brandon Vazquez seizes his opportunity to continue scoring goals. Today, let's break down this game tactically. But before we do, I just wanted to address something from my last video, the people of the United States versus Greg Berhalter. Although I meant every single word that I said in that video, I feel like it missed the mark for a lot of folks, mostly because of how long it took me to provide a balanced viewpoint on US soccer and their part that they play in the hiring, the communication, and the relationship that they have with fans. I took too long to point out the flaws in Greg, and I also didn't highlight some of the more balanced views within the community that I had been seeing, and that could have dampened the negative perspective that I brought to the video. I am just a normal person who cares deeply about soccer in America, who up until 2 years ago had no experience being on YouTube or talking to a camera or having anyone listen to my opinion on soccer. I started this channel because I wanted to build something that brought more passion and love to the game that we all follow. So I loved many of the comments you guys left, even the ones that didn't agree with me. I think that is so beautiful and at a level that I've never seen for US soccer. It feels like that is an inflection point that has been reached at the fervor that people support soccer within this country. And again, that in itself is amazing. I would never ask you to not be passionate. I was just trying to ask for maybe something along the lines of passionate civility. And I didn't quite stick the landing like I wanted to. I want to provide this community with content that is meaningful and valuable, and something that I am still learning on how to do to the best of my abilities while still bringing my authentic self to these videos. And believe it or not, I read and try to respond to every single comment. So please, if you do have any feedback for me on how I can improve, I would really appreciate hearing it. At the end of the day, I am just me. I'm still learning. I'm going to make mistakes, so thank you for being here. Okay, on to the match. For the starting 11, I think we were scared of Jamaica's front three, and we tried to put as much balance of size and experience that we could muster. I think for DeAndre Yedlin's place, I would have liked to see Duhan Jones because I felt like Yedlin has lost a little bit of pace and doesn't provide as much going forward as Duhan Jones does. And if you don't know about Jones's capability and toolkit, he is an excellent passer and crosser of the ball. He's also very physical in his defending. Now, as far as Aaron Long is concerned, I think Miles Robinson is coming off an injury, and I thought before the game started, although I was wrong later, that this would have been a very difficult game for Jalen Neal to make his market. I feel like John Brooks should be on this roster instead of Aaron Long, but at the end of the day, BJ has to work with the players that he called in to this squad. Like, I don't even think for me that Aaron Long is in my top 10 on the center back depth chart right now. And at least in the conversation for someone like Jordan Morris or Christian Roldan, they are actually performing for their MLS clubs, but Aaron Long has not been performing at the level needed to be called into the national team for LAFC this season. Otherwise, I can't really fault the rest of the lineup. I think my initial impression was that we wanted to stifle their strength in attack and still try to be able to break down their defense with a mix of technical quick players like Zendejas, player like Ferreira that can drop in and connect, and then maybe some of the straight line speed like Jordan Morris. And in the midfield, Aidan Morris and James Sands were meant to have provided stability in the double pivot, with Alan Signora adding that creative flair. What actually happened instead in the first 15 minutes and up to the Jamaica goal was that the US was pressing in a 4-4-2 with Alan Signora pushing into that forward line, but Jamaica was winning a lot of the second balls and physical duels. And when the US had the ball, Jamaica did a really nice job of closing out the space and doing well to cover any of the short outlets, forcing the US to go long. And since Jamaica was winning all of those balls and the second balls, it didn't really work. Now, Jamaica's first goal was a really nice delivery from Everton's Demarai Gray, and the US didn't do well to hold their offside line. You could see Miazga break that offside trap, and Lowe was there for a slick headed finish. It's really difficult with these types of plays where you are trying to hold a line at the top of the box with a defensive crew that hasn't really played much together and doesn't have that chemistry. And for all of you set piece coaches out there, that is why you have a dummy run on the dead ball. The initial fake is what made Miazga move the offside line closer to the goal. And if you notice, when the US took free kicks from similar areas against Jamaica, Jamaica just packed the box and didn't really worry about any offside trap. From there, it was 1-0 Jamaica, and up to the USA to chase the match, which, based on our starting 11, we weren't really set up to do. I want to point out this moment at 21:30 in the match, we're playing so poorly that this guy steals the ball from a kid. I mean, this guy is just cracked. Then later in the first half, the penalty comes for Jamaica. Aiden Morris gets his foot too high without winning the ball, and the penalty call is correct. Aiden Morris, I think, has been incredible for Columbus Crew this season, but he has had trouble adapting that to international duty. Leon Bailey, the Aston Villa man, steps up to take the penalty and hits it low to the right of the goal. Matt Turner, take a bow, captain. What a save. And then Leon Bailey, whatever the opposite of a bow is, do that, because that is a horrible miss with your weak foot. I do want to point out as well, Matt Turner now has faced 24 penalties in his professional career, and he's saved 11 of those. Penalties usually are converted around 80% of the time, but penalties against Matt Turner only around 55%. That is an incredible save rate from the goalkeeper. The team did recover a bit from there after the penalty, but they were still reeling from Jamaica's intensity, and it took a lot to try and get settled. It just wasn't working as intended. Matt Miazga and Aaron Long were both poor, and from an unstable foundation in the back, it was difficult for Aiden Morris or James Sands to really find any progressive passes. The best moment for the US came in extra time in that first half when a nice passing sequence slipped Jordan Morris in behind, one-on-one with the goalkeeper Andre Blake, and at full speed, it did look like a bad miss from Morris, but in slow motion, we just saw an insane save from Andre Blake. The whistle blows for halftime, and it's 1-0 Reggae Boys. My halftime thoughts were that there was a lot of hesitation from the US. There was a lot of playing slowly and not really seeing the game at the speed that it needed to be played. In the second half, things started to change slowly but surely. Jalen Neal comes in for an injured Aaron Long, and despite a nice scoop pass by Mikel Antonio to get past him early on, he does do wonderfully for the rest of the night. I also thought James Sands really came alive early in that second half as well. There were some great switches of play, and he just added some calmness to the US midfield. That wasn't really enough though, because still, every 50-50 ball, every physical battle, the US was still losing. Then comes the sequence at the 70th minute. A few great touches on the left side leads to a great low cross from Cade Cowell. It's dangerous, but Andre Blake again comes up huge for Jamaica to save a point-blank shot from Christian Roldan. More credit as well in that second half to BJ Callahan here. It was decisive, game-changing substitutes. It was really nice to see when you pair that with one of Greg's shortfalls, which is making subs too late and for the wrong players. The substitutes came quickly and for the right players for BJ. Cade Cowell, Georgi Mihalovic, Vazquez, and even Roldan made positive differences in the play. Jalen Neal as well, like I said, settled our defensive line, and he made Matt Miazga look a lot better in that second half. The breakthrough for the US men's national team came from a good dribble at the corner of the box from Jesus Ferreira, who swung it in, and the ball eventually found the foot of Brandon Vazquez. He makes no mistake and puts it out of Andre Blake's reach. It's 1-1, and that is how the game ends. That brings me to my question of the day for you. Which substitute do you think made the biggest impact on this match? It was a good job for the US getting back into this game, but it really wasn't good enough. And say what you will about the technical quality, we lost a lot of battles on effort, on intensity, and on desire. The midfield was so sloppy. And if you are watching this right after the Nations League and the silkiness of Yunus Musa and Gio Reyna, then you're going to be in for a bad time. It's like when you play with an 85 rated squad in FIFA and then immediately in the next game you play with a 70 rated squad. It's going to feel sluggish and sloppy. A lot of the starters from this match need to know that their spots are at risk. Alan Senora, Aiden Morris, Zendejas, Long, Yedlin, Jordan Morris all looked at moments like they really weren't ready for this match and that responsibility. In my eyes, the players that won the most were Matt Turner, John Tolkin, James Sands, Cade Cowell, Brandon Vazquez, Jalen Neal, and Georgi Mihalovic all went stock up. At the end of the day, not good, not a disaster. It will be a race now for goal differential for both teams to win this group. That is it for today. Thank you so much for watching. Please consider subscribing to the channel if you found any value in any nugget that I shared in this video. And if you want to find out more about Brandon Vazquez and the incredible FC Cincinnati story this season, watch this video next. See ya.